We're going to go to page 151. Oh no, it's not 151. Hold on. 157? Does that sound better? Okay. Like, wait a minute. I feel like we did that one already. Okay. 157. How about that? That's this page right here. And this is a review page. I'm pretty sure the rest of the assignments are going to be review because we're at the end of the book, as you probably noticed. We're almost there. So we're reviewing some openers today. Two openers, the number 2 prepositional and the number 5 clausal. That's the one that has the www.asia word. So it says here, a number 2 prepositional opener is a sentence that begins with a prepositional phrase. Write the pattern for a number 2 prepositional opener. So there's a pattern that it follows. Anytime you have a prepositional opener, it's going to start with a preposition. That's why it's called a preposition opener, prepositional. So go ahead and write preposition here. And you should have a page tabbed in your book. You don't have to turn to it right now, but that page should have all the prepositions. And you can look back on that when you need to have one of these openers or when you're trying to find one of these openers in your grammar book. But it's a preposition plus noun. And then in parentheses, I want you to put no verb. So that's something really important to remember about prepositional phrases and prepositional openers. They do not have a verb. They only have a preposition and a noun. There might be something in between. There might be an article or an adjective in between that, but it has to have a preposition and a noun. It might have other stuff too, but not a verb. Okay, and then a number 5 clausal opener. That is a sentence that begins with a www word, and they list them right here. You guys, I think you guys know these. When, while, where, as, since, if, although, because. And contains a subject and a verb. So it says write the pattern for a number 5 clausal opener. So you're going to put www.asia.b plus subject plus verb. So a good rule of thumb is what I like to call it, to remember the difference between phrases and clauses. I know I've said this a bunch of times, but I really hope that you get it locked in your head. Phrases they do not have a verb, no verb in the phrases. This is like a prepositional phrase here. Clauses, like the clausal opener here, they do have a verb, but sometimes you'll notice there's the same word in both lists, like since. That word since is a preposition and it's a www.asia word. Okay, so that's when you have to look around the word. If you do not see a verb next to it, near it, then it's going to be a prepositional phrase or a prepositional opener. If you do see a verb close to it, it will be a clause. So that word since can be in either one of these. The other one is the word because. Now, if it's used as a prepositional phrase, though, that's when we have because of. Remember, we talked about that before? When it says because of, that is a prepositional phrase. If it's just because and then there's a verb next to it, then it's a clausal opener. I'm going to jump down to this paragraph where it says, complete the following sentences using the verbs and nouns in the list or words of your choice. So you have a list here, verbs and nouns, or you can use your own if you have other ideas. Include a subject and verb to complete the number 5 clausal openers. Include a noun or article plus noun to complete a number 2 prepositional openers. You may add other words to complete the thought. And they give you a clue at the very beginning of the sentence. It either has a 2 or a 5. And that means a number 2 is a prepositional opener, and number 5 is a clausal. So with the prepositional openers, no verb, remember, no verb. And number 5, verb. So we're going to take turns filling in these sentences. You can use these words here, or you can make up your own words. So the first one, I'm going to have Harmony do the first one. It's a number 2 opener. That means you're not going to use a verb with it. Okay, you're going to pick one of these nouns, and you'll probably need an extra word in there too. But beneath blank, Robin laughed. So beneath the blank, Robin laughed. So what do you think, Harmony? What could we put there?
Beneath the beneath the tree.
Beneath the tree?
Yeah.
I like it. Beneath the tree, Robin laughed. That works. There's no verb. You have a article the and the noun tree. That works for the prepositional opener. Good job, Harmony. Grayson, how about the next one is a clausal. This one does need a verb with it. So because blank, he was pleased. So you can use one of these, or you can make up your own.
Because Robin fled, he was pleased.
Because he fled, he was pleased. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he's like happy to get away. By the way, you guys can pick a different one if you want. You don't have to put what I'm putting. You can pick a different thing to put there if you want to. Because he fled, he was pleased. All right, the next one, Christian. This is prepositional, so no verb here. Without blank, he seemed troubled.
Without his bow and arrow, he seemed troubled.
Okay, good. Bow and arrow. Yeah, he was like, uh-oh, I don't have any way to defend myself. But that's good. You have the adjective his, and then the noun bow and arrow, those two nouns. That's good. Harmony, this one's going to be clausal. So it needs a verb, a subject verb with it. So as blank, Robin lost his balance. What do you think? It has to have a subject verb in there. As blank, Robin lost his balance.
As as he slipped.
Okay, good. As he slipped. Good. He is your subject. Slipped is the verb. As he slipped, Robin lost his balance. That's a good one. Good job. Grayson, prepositional, so no verb here. Past blank, a fawn stood quietly. So pick one of those nouns, Grayson. Past the blank, a fawn stood quietly. And it can be from the list, or it can be something else too.
I have no clue what to say.
Okay. Maybe it's like past the bridge, like maybe the fawn is on the other side. Past the bridge, a fawn stood quietly. Past the apple tree, past the bushes. You see where, so imagine a deer outside and it's past something, after something. What do you think? You can pick any of those if you want.
The apple tree past the apple tree.
Okay, that'll work. Yep. Past the apple tree, a fawn stood quietly. Now you guys can pick whichever one you like too. And then Christian, after you write that, this is clausal, so you will need a subject verb here. So when blank, it was safe.
When he sprinted, it was safe.
When he sprinted. Maybe he sprinted away. Should we add that? Or just he sprinted?
Just he sprinted.
Okay, just he sprinted. He's like, I'm out of here. I don't have my bow and arrow. I'm getting out of here. But you got your subject verb. That's the main thing. He and sprinted. So that works. This next one, because of, this is prepositional because it has that word of here. So we don't want a verb here, okay, Harmony? So because of blank, Robin was tired. So you can look at the nouns list. What is he tired from? Because of blank, Robin was tired. Because of the something.
Color again. The thunderstorm.
Yes, good. Maybe he didn't sleep. It was probably a big storm. Because of the thunderstorm, Robin was tired. Good. And then Grayson, the last one, when you're ready, this is going to have a subject verb. So after blank, he knew it was a mistake. So look at your verbs up here.
After Robin mocked, he knew it was a mistake.
Okay, good. I like it. You guys know what mocked means, like to tease someone or, it's not a very nice thing to do. After Robin mocked, he knew it was a mistake. One thing I wanted to point out to you about this page before you turn the page, these are all openers you guys filled in right here, right? These are either the prepositional opener or the clausal opener with the Asia words. But at the end of all of these sentences, these are main clauses because, a main clause has a complete thought and it has a subject verb pair. So if you just looked at the ends of these sentences, like Robin laughed, he was pleased, he seemed troubled, Robin lost his balance, a fawn stood quietly, it was safe, Robin was tired, he knew it was a mistake. All of those could be sentences all on their own. That's how we know those are main clauses. And some of them are pretty short. That's okay. But they have a subject verb pair. All of these openers add to that. Okay, so they're not part of a main clause, but they add to that main clause. All right, let's turn the page to 159. All right, how about Christian? Can you read the sentence, please?
Confidently, the stranger pulled the bowstring, aimed at the target, and released the arrow, which flew straight.
Nice. Okay, so released, that's when you let go of something, right? Like in the bow and arrow, you release it. We've got 4 articles. Go ahead and find those on your own. When you're ready, Harmony, how about the 4 nouns? And you guys can work ahead too if you want to work ahead on this list. And then when I call on you, you'll be ready.
Stranger.
Stranger, good.
Bowstring.
Good.
Target.
Good.
Arrow.
Yes, good. Nice job. Adverbs, Grayson.
Confidently.
Good.
At.
Okay, good try. Here's something I want to tell you guys because I think this might be a good skill for you. The next adverb is tricky, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. So if this ever happens to you when you're doing your homework and you are like, I don't know where the other one is, just don't put a check by it yet. We're going to come back to that. Okay. So that's a good skill to practice. But how about Grayson, where's the coordinating conjunction? Where's that one?
And.
Good. And then Christian, let's jump down to the who, which clause. Where's that?
Which flew straight.
Good. Which flew straight, W/W. And I'm going to skip now to the verbs. I like to move around this list. Hopefully that doesn't bother anybody. But Harmony, where are the verbs at? Where can we find all the action words or the helping or linking verbs?
Tell her. Pulled.
Good. Pulled.
Released.
Good.
Aimed.
Good. One more.
Stranger. Blue.
There you go. Each one of those, especially that who, which clause has one too. Okay, subjects, Grayson, who's doing these things? So who pulled and aimed and released?
Stranger,
Stranger. And then in the who, which,
arrow,
not arrow, it's actually going to be in the who, which clause.
which,
Yes, good. In the who, which clause, it's always who or which. That's the subject of that clause. All right, so now we got the subject verbs. How about the main clause, Grayson? Do you see it?
the stranger pulled the bowstrings, aim at the target, and release the arrow.
Good, yes. That's good. I meant to call on Christian, but I accidentally said Grayson, that's okay. Christian, how about the prepositional phrase?
At the target.
At the target. Okay, now Grayson, back to you for a second. Do you see where that other adverb is now? Because we're pretty much done labeling everything and there's one word left.
Right?
Yes. So that's a skill you guys can try using when you do your homework. If you just can't figure out what the other one is, wait on that and then come back to it. That was perfect. And then how about Harmony? What's the opener here?
Tell her. Number 3.
Good. 3, ly, adverb, opener. Very good. We know the capital, that's the beginning, and we know the end mark, but Grayson, what about the commas? What do we need to do with those?
After confidently,
No, not after confidently, not for that one.
after target,
Yes, one after target.
do we take out the arrow one?
No, because that needs to stay because of the who, which clause. But if you look at the strangers, what he's doing 3 things, right? Pulled the bowstring, aimed at the target, and released the arrow. So whenever you list 3 things, you need to have your commas in there. So does that help you see where it goes?
After bowstring,
Yes, there you go. Good. Because we're listing those things. Whenever there's a who, which clause after a main clause, it needs a comma. So that's why we don't want to take that one out. And then the opener, I know it sounds like it should have a comma because usually we kind of pause here, but confidently is only talking about the verb pulled. It's modifying this verb pulled, not the whole sentence. It's just telling how he pulled it, how he did the verbs, right? So that's why we don't need a comma on that one. If it modifies the whole clause, that's when we do need a comma. All right, that's it for that lesson. Um, oh, I wanted to explain something too about this really quick. I almost forgot. Sometimes those main clauses are tricky and the other clauses because you don't know, are they in the middle of the main clause or are they on the outside of the main clause? So one way to think of it is like the main clause is the main point of the sentence, right? That's the main idea of the sentence. But I did a little research a couple days ago and I heard someone call it like a main dish. If you think about it like a meal, the main clause is the main dish. That is the main thing they're talking about. That's the point of the sentence. That's the information that's most important. Then when you have other clauses like a who which or a that clause or a because clause, I mean, there's lots of them, right? That's like a side dish. That's adding information to the main clause, but it's not necessarily part of the main clause. It's on the side. And then when you have a word like confidently as an opener, you can think of that as like an appetizer. I thought that was funny to think of it like a food analogy. And then sometimes like this at the target, this is a prepositional phrase, but it's inside the main dish. So that would be kind of like a sauce on your main dish. Sometimes those who, which clauses are in the middle. That would also be like a sauce on the main dish. So hopefully that helps you if you get stuck on main clauses. It's the main point of the sentence, the main part of it. And then the rest is like sides or sauces, something like that. I don't know about you, but for me, that helps. I'm such a visual person. I have a really hard time learning things if I can't see it or connect it to something that's visual. So for me, the meal analogy works because I can see a meal in my head, especially if I'm hungry, which I'm not too hungry at the moment. So that's probably a good thing. So sorry if you are. All right. Go ahead and get your binders out. Before we had a break, you guys finished up your paper about your person in history. I have not had a chance to grade everybody's yet, but does anybody want to share your paper about your person in history today? If you're not done with it yet, that's okay. We can maybe share it next week. Doesn't look like anybody's jumping up and down today. That's all right. Okay, so we're going to move on to a new unit. It's called inventive writing. And we're going to talk about that. So go ahead and open up your binders. And you're going to get out week 18. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, we're skipping week 17, by the way, just because we're running out of time and I really want to get some of these other ones, make sure to do these other ones. So we're going to skip week 17 and go on to week 18. So in your binders, let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm sorry if that's a little confusing, but go to that first tab, source text tab, the one that says week 17, a subject of your choice. We're skipping that. So you can just take it out of your binder. And put it away, put 17 away. We're not going to do that one. If your parents want you to do that over summer break or something, that's fine. But we're going to move on to week 18 because this one is a little bit better, in my opinion, a little bit easier to write about. And it's going to be here. How many pages we got? 65, 7, 8, 9. So there's 4 pages. You also need 2 pieces of lined paper. So we're not going to use the white paper for this. 2 pieces of lined paper. So what you need in front of you right now is week 18, which is 4 pages long, and 2 pieces of lined paper. When you're ready, give me a thumbs up. Okay, good. We're going to start with your lined paper. So go ahead and get that on top. We haven't used this in a while. We've been using those big white pages. We're going back to this for a little bit. So go ahead and do what we used to do here with your name. And then today's date is 4/24/25. So go ahead and label that. And then skip a line and let's just put inventive writing. This is a new unit. This is unit 7. So just a recap of what we've been through. We started out retelling stories way back at the beginning of the year, right? We wrote a KWO and then you retold it. And then the next unit, we wrote KWOs and you wrote out stories. And then we looked at pictures. And we wrote stories from pictures. Then we started looking at research papers, and we did um, writing using a resource. And then we wrote with multiple resources. That's when we brought out the big white paper and we looked at different websites and we did research. And now we're coming back to more of creative style writing for a little bit because it kind of flips back and forth. Inventive. And if you look at that word inventive, I see the word invent. And you probably know what it means to invent something, to create something, or an invention. But what about the word inventory? Does anybody know what inventory means? Have you heard that one? Does anybody know what inventory means, Grayson?
Like a place where you keep stuff.
Yeah, a place where you keep stuff. It's funny because usually when I'm talking to the class about it, they automatically think of Minecraft. Is anybody thinking of Minecraft? See, that's what I thought. So in Minecraft, you collect stuff along the way, and then when you go take an inventory of your stuff, you look in the box or wherever they keep it, and you see what items you have in there. That's exactly what inventory is. If you work at a grocery store or at like Walmart, if you're an employee there, you have this little device you walk around with, and you might have seen them walking around the store and they're like in front of the soup aisle and they're looking at the soups and they're looking at the chicken noodle soups and they're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then they type in 8 and then they look at another type of soup like beef stew. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3. So they're counting how many of something at the store. Well, for writing, we're going to use the inventory in our heads and we're going to use the information that we already know. We're not going to do research like you did with your person in history. We're not going to go online. We're not going to read any articles. This is coming from your head only. You don't even have pictures to look at. So we're going to practice doing this inventive writing. So skip a line and let's put steps here because there are some steps to take to get prepared for this. And you're going to notice it's a lot like what we've already been doing. So step number 1 is subject. You got to know what your subject of your paper is. That means like, what are you writing about? What's your subject? Well, this time, your subject, you could put a little equal sign here, is a place of your choice. So you are going to write about a place. That means something you know something about. Because remember, you're getting your information from your own brain this time. So it could be a place that you've been before. It could be something as simple as your bedroom. It could be your grandma's house. It could be Disneyland. It could be Las Vegas or any place you can think of. Maybe if you've ever been on an airplane, you've been to an airport before. That's a place. Or the mall if you like to go shopping. So, okay, we're going to brainstorm more of that in a second, but that's the first step. You got to know what you're writing about, which we'll decide in a minute. And then the second step, you have to list possible topics, just like we did before. But remember, last time you guys were looking at articles to find topics. Well, this time you're using an inventory of your own brain. It's inventive writing. And you're going to try to think of all the things you know about those places and make a list. So the next step, we've done this before. Does anybody know what you do after you make your list of possible topics? What is the next step? Do you guys remember? After you make your list, the next step is to choose one, right? So you want to choose a topic. Make a list, you choose one. Anybody remember what you do after that? After you choose a topic, what's next? It's okay, everybody's tired today. We're coming off of spring break. You're gonna write Your KWO. And we're not going to do fused this time because that's only when you have articles, like multiple articles that you're looking at. So you don't need your fused for this. But you do need a KWO. After you have your KWO ready to go, does anybody remember what happens after that? You got all your keywords written down, you got all your stuff in order on your KWO. What's next, Grayson?
Write your paragraph.
Yes, thank you. Good. Write paragraph. That's right. Now, for this style of writing, this is ultimately gonna be 5 paragraphs long, okay? This week, you're only gonna focus on the 3 body paragraphs. We're gonna do the other 2 paragraphs next week. But this part right here, I want you to put a little bracket like that between the 3, 4, and 5. You're gonna do this 3 times. So I'm gonna put times 3. And these are called your body, I'm putting this in parentheses, paragraphs. So basically what you're going to do is choose a topic, write a KWO, write a paragraph. That's one body paragraph. Then you're going to go back up here again, choose another topic, write another KWO, write a second paragraph. That's paragraph 2. Choose a third topic, write a KWO, write a third paragraph. That's paragraph number 3. So these, you kind of go back and forth. In fact, on the side here, let's just draw between the 3 and the 5, like an up and down arrow, because you're going to go back and forth right here. Okay, and do that 3 times for your body's paragraphs. Does anybody know what the last paragraph of an essay is called? What's that very last paragraph called? Starts with a C. Remember?
Conclusion.
There you go. Good, right? Conclusion. Good, Harmony. Does anybody remember what the first paragraph is called of an essay? Very, very first paragraph. It starts with an I. Intro. Grayson.
Introduction.
Yes, thank you. Introduction. Now you might be thinking, why is the introduction all the way down on number 7? If you're thinking that, that's a great question. And the reason is this style, these steps in this curriculum here that we're using, we wait till the very end to write your first paragraph because then you have the information you need to make that first paragraph really good. Because sometimes if we sit down to write an essay and you start with the introduction, you're not really sure where you're going with it yet, right? So it helps to have the body paragraphs done. That helps to write the conclusion. And then it's a piece of cake to write your introduction after you get all that stuff done. I know it sounds a little bit backwards, but the way they say it is you're going to write your paper from the inside out. You're writing the inside paragraphs first, and then the outer paragraphs, the conclusion, and then the introduction. So these are the steps to writing an inventive essay. All right, so now let's skip a line and put places here. Now we're going to start brainstorming a little bit. Think about some places that you know. Now everybody's list right here is going to be different. But just think of all the places you know about. And I'm going to write a list too here. And just start making a list of places that you know that you've been to, or maybe even from a movie or a book. That's okay too, if you want to make it your paper about something from a game, even like Minecraft World or whatever, or if there's another game, if any kind of a place. Okay, I'm going to start making my list too. Could even be the city you live in. Try to come up with at least 4 choices here. Like I said earlier, it could even be your bedroom if you think that would be fun to write about, or your friend's house, grandma's house, Las Vegas, somewhere you like to go on vacation. The point is to think of the places that you already know about in your head, so you don't have to do any research. So you want to think of a place that places that you know a lot about. Or even the library, Christian, you're there right now, huh? Okay, give me a thumbs up if you have at least 4. Okay, good. Good, good. My list says Tehachapi because that's where I live. That's the city I live in. Disneyland because I like to go there. I've been there a few times. Avila Beach, if anybody's been there, that's a fun beach to go to. Cammie's house, that's my friend. So yours isn't going to say Cammie's, but if you have a friend's house that you like to go to, and Mountain Park, that's a park up here in Tehachapi that I like to go to also. As you're looking at your list of places, I want you to think of the one on your list that you know the most about, because that's going to be the easiest one to write about. A place that you know the most about. And it, like I said earlier, it could be a fictitious place. It could be like if you like Harry Potter, it could be, I haven't really watched those movies or read the books, but the place where they are, I know it's probably shocking to some of you, but or a movie that you like to watch that has a village or a place or a world. All right, I'm going to choose Disneyland. Try to think of one that you want. You can circle it. If you change your mind later, that's okay. Go ahead and circle the one you're going to pick for now. And then I want you to draw a little arrow over, and we're going to put possible topics here next to it. Whoops, CS. So pick a place and circle it, your favorite one or the one you know the most about. Circle it, draw a little arrow. Now we're going to have possible topics. So for me, and I want you to be thinking of yours is different. Think about the things you know about that place. Obviously, for me, we've got rides, we've got food, the characters, there's a parade, fireworks. So it'll take you a minute. Think about your place that you circled. What are some things that you know about that place? Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you thought of at least 4 possible topics. Good. Okay. Christian, what good, I see that. What place did you pick?
I just chose Disneyland.
Okay, that's easy. Is your list like mine over here then?
I just put rides, food, people in costumes, and shops.
Okay, that's good. And then how about you, Grayson? What did you pick?
Bakersfield.
Okay. And what did you put for your possible topics?
Music, oil, food, and football.
Ooh, I like that. Good. How about you, Harmony? What's your place that you picked?
I picked Disneyland too.
Okay, good. And do you have possible topics like mine?
Yeah.
You do? Good. Okay, those are going to be good. All 3 of you, I like that. Okay, so here, from here, your second piece of lined paper. Let's get that one ready. So go to your next clean page. put your name and your date here. And then you're going to skip a line, and for your topic, or not your topic, but your subject, this is the place. So you're going to put either Disneyland or Bakersfield at the top. And then we're going to build our outline here, and we're going to just put a Roman numeral 1. And I want you to write the word introduction next to it. We're not going to fill that out today. I just want you to put a Roman numeral 1 and introduction. That's the very first paragraph. Remember, that's the last one we write. So we're going to just hold it there for a second. And we're not even going to write any numbers underneath it. I just want you to skip a line and now put Roman numeral 2. This is a little bit different than we did before. Underneath Roman numeral 2, I want you to write 1 through 4. Move over a little bit like we did before, like that. And clincher. Skip a line. Roman numeral 3, 1 through 4. Clincher. I'll give you time, so don't worry if you're still writing these. Skip a line, and now we're going to do Roman numeral 4, which is an I and then a V. That's the Roman numeral for 4. And you're going to do 1 through 4 again. Oops, 3, 4, and clincher. And then skip a line, and 5 is just a V. And I'm just going to have you put conclusion here. Give me a thumbs up. You can take your time on this. Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Okay. Good. Okay. So these 3 paragraphs in the middle, I just want you to kind of do like a little, kind of like a rainbow on the side like that between the Roman numeral 2 and the Roman numeral 4. And then on that rainbow, I want you to put body paragraphs, just so you can see those go in the middle of your essay. Okay, so I'll leave it like that so you can copy that. It's between the 2 and the 4. All of that is considered your body paragraph. Sometimes I like to use my hand because, like I told you earlier, I'm visual. I am a visual person. So if I use my hand like this, I know that my thumb is the introduction. The 3 fingers in the middle are my body paragraphs, and then my pinky is the conclusion. So it's kind of handy, no pun intended, that I can use my hand to help me remember those paragraphs. Those 3 in the middle are the body. Okay. Thumb is the introduction, pinky is the conclusion. So this week for your homework assignment, you're going to write 3 paragraphs using your own brain, your own inventory inside your own head about this place. So go back to your list of possible topics here. And I want you to circle the 3 topics that you know the most about. So I want you to circle 3 here. So for me, I got to talk about the rides. I think those are cool. And I'm going to talk about the parade and maybe the fireworks. But you pick what you want to write about. The characters, if you're doing Disneyland, the food would be an easy one. So pick 3. Thumbs up when you picked 3 topics already. Good. Okay. Now I want you to copy these topics next to each one of these Roman numerals for your body. So for me, I'm going to put rides here. I'm going to put parade here. And I'm going to put fireworks here. And it is possible for you to combine some topics. So like if you're writing about Disneyland, I know Christian and Harmony are, You could put characters next to parade. If you want to include that topic in together with your other topic, that one makes sense to put those two together. And then maybe the fireworks, if you want to combine that with something else, you can. And you're going to think of two more words next to these. I'm just going to leave a space here to remind myself of that. I think I'm going to use that word characters here for me. And then maybe I'll put Main Street here. Because I know that's when in Disneyland, that's where they have their parade is like on the Main Street parade. For rides, for me, I would put something like roller coasters. For you, Grayson, I know you're writing about Bakersfield, so you picked football. What were the other two topics again?
Oil, food, and football.
Oil, food, and football. Okay, so oil, you could talk about,
I put it's big in like this city.
yes,
And then for food, I put iconic and good.
yes.
And then I for football, I put stars in the NFL.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. That came from Bakersfield. Yes. Isn't that cool that I mean, Bakersfield has had quite a few that have made it into the NFL. Pretty exciting. Um, with the oil, that one might be a little tricky, but what are you thinking about as far as like, what about the oil that you're going to write about?
My dad works in oil,
Perfect.
so I know a little bit about it.
That's great because I know that's a lot of where the money for the city comes from and even the county, really. And then there's places where the oil rigs are. There's a bunch in Taft, as you know, and Oildale. Um, that's great. Oh, that'll be easy for you then. And if you get stuck and you need more facts about it, you can always ask your dad. I'm sure he'll give you some ideas. Awesome. Okay, good. So where are we at? We got some time here. I'm going to let you guys brainstorm a little bit to come up with some details about those topics. So remember, when you go through these topics, keep your details about this topic only. That's going to help you come up with a good paragraph about those different things. So I'm going to give you some time right now, since we have a little bit of time left in class, to start filling in your keyword outline. If you need help, you need to brainstorm with me, that's okay. I'm here to help you, but start thinking about those topics and putting down some details that you know about them. Okay, I'm gonna have you go ahead and finish up the one you're working on. Whatever word you're on. And then I'm gonna go over a couple more things with you here. How far did you get, Christian?
I finished paragraph 2 and started 3.
Okay, good. How about you as far as the KWO? How about you, Grayson? How far did you get on your KWO?
I did my first paragraph, and then I'm on football. I'm gonna finish food. I have a question for my dad soon on
Okay,
food. So
okay, good. How about you, Harmony? How far did you get?
Did my first paragraph.
Good. Awesome. That's good. You guys got a good start to it. One thing I forgot to go over with you is remember when you guys wrote from pictures and you asked yourself questions? Because that's one thing I want to remind you guys when you think, and this is going to involve thinking, which you guys did great at. It was nice and quiet, at least on my end. And you were thinking about the parts or the topics to this subject. When you think, you ask yourself questions. Remember, we talked about that before. So I want you to turn your KWO over to the back side here. And I just want you to list these question words. I know you know them already, but go ahead and write them down. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Those are called the big 6 questions. And that's going to help you think of details about these different parts to your place, like the topics, right? The details that go with the topics to your place. Ask yourself these questions. What we're doing is practicing thinking. And a lot of that happens inside our heads, right? And it happens naturally. But when we practice thinking, that's good for us. That helps us to think even better. And just a side note, you probably aren't too interested in the news at your age yet, but someday you'll be interested in what's going on in the news. And what you need to be able to do when you see the news is think about what you're hearing and think about what you're seeing and asking yourself these questions. So the more you practice thinking, the better you're going to be able to decide what's real and what's not real. Because, sometimes in the news, they say things that make you question, right? Like if they say the sky is brown, well, sometimes it looks a little brown when it's smoggy, but if they say it's like a dark brown sky and you're looking outside and you're like, my sky looks kind of blue, I don't see brown, then you start asking yourselves, why did he say the sky is brown? And where did he get his information? And who is this guy that's telling me the sky is brown? These are good things to ask yourself to help you think about why someone says something or why something is that you're looking at is why is that happening? And to ask yourself these questions is really good for yourself. And I want to make sure too that your parents will tell you the truth. Your family will tell you the truth, especially your parents. Okay. You can trust them to tell you exactly what's going on. Okay. And what the truth is. But sometimes you might run into a friend at Walmart, or you might overhear a stranger talking to another stranger about something. And those are the times when you need to stop and think, why are they saying that? Where did they get their information? What does it mean? Who is this person? That's part of thinking, and it's such a great skill to practice. And that's why you're doing this assignment to start practicing thinking, accessing inventory in your own head. Another set of questions you can ask yourself, more questions, is the 5 senses when you're writing this paper. Skip a line here and let's write see question mark hear, feel, taste, smell. That can also help you think of ideas for your details if you run out of things to talk about, because you're going to need to use your checklist. There's kind of a lot on there right now. So even though you only have 4 details for each topic, you're going to need more sentences than that. So you're going to need some sentences to fill in just so you make sure you get all your checklist in your paper. And then you can skip a line and let's write best and worst. And 2 more, problems, solutions. Now you don't have to answer every single one of these questions. This is just to help you access information in your own brain, your inventory. So you don't have to use all of them, but use it if you need it, if it helps you to come up with more details. All right, so your assignment is just the 3 body paragraphs. So you're going to finish up Roman numerals 2, 3, and 4. And you're going to write those 3 body paragraphs. That's your homework this week, along with your grammar. And next week, we'll talk about the conclusion and the introduction. All right, you guys, good job today. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.